Hi, this is Carrie Ann Deloach. I'm the Serendipitous Scrapper, and today I'm going to share with you my tutorial for making these little chocolate covered strawberries. I appreciate all of you asking how to make them on the blog, and so today we're going to do the strawberries, not the box. Now, depending on what your preference is, you can do white strawberries, or strawberries with white chocolate, or strawberries with dark chocolate. We're going to show the dark chocolate method today. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is to go to the blog, theserendipitousscrapper.blogspot.com, and print off the template. You're going to need the template in red as well as in brown for the chocolate layer. So the very first step is to cut each of them out. Then what we're going to do is score. You can use a bone folder and a ruler, or if you have a scoring tool like I have, you can use a scoring tool. And you're just going to score from point to point. On the template, it has dotted lines, so those are the lines you're going to score on top of. You always want to do your scoring on the inside so that you can hide all of your work as you go. You just might want to go over it twice to get a really nice fold. The other thing that you're going to be doing is using a regular hole punch to punch holes where the circles are marked on the template. And you only need to punch the holes on the red template, not on the brown one. So it should look like this after you're done scoring. You'll have the holes punched and you'll have the scoring lines. Then what we're going to do is we're going to dry emboss. Now I like to score and then dry emboss because when you do it that way you don't flatten any of the dry embossing. We're using the Swiss Dot folder by Cuttlebug, and I'm using a Big Shot. But you can use any die cutting system that you have. It's okay if the petals come a little bit out of the folder, as it does here, because that part's not going to show. It's going to be hidden by the top of the strawberry. So we're just going to run that through. Oops, I'm going to have to open this. This is the fun of live tutorials. So go ahead and check your recipe to make sure you're doing the right stack. Okay, and you only need to emboss the red one. The brown one is our chocolate layer, so we're not going to want the dots on that. And when you're done, that'll look like this. Okay, now we're going to go back and we're going to fold on those scored lines that we just scored. You're going to fold in. Want to get them nice and straight. That's the benefit of the scoring. And then you're going to go ahead and fold in that flap. We're going to be using red line tape. It's two-sided and it's extremely sticky. You want to use something like this that has a strong hold because we're going to be putting chocolates inside and the paper is going to want to come apart. So you just apply the red line tape to the flap, and then you're going to peel off that top layer and get the ends to meet. Alright, and now we're going to put this base of the strawberry aside for a minute and work on the brown layer. Now the brown layer, as you notice, it doesn't go all the way to the top, so we need to trim that down. And I use scallop scissors to do that, but I have forgotten my scallop scissors, so I'm just going to do it with the straight scissors right now. I always recommend just cutting a little bit off at first, and then seeing if you like how it looks. You can always cut off more, but you'll have to cut a whole new template if you cut too much off. So I'm just going to fold on the scored lines, and then I'm going to slide it over the red strawberry to see if I like how it looks. I'm going to fold in the flap. It's on this side. Alright, so we're going to do it like so. And you can kind of get an idea about how high that comes up. And that's probably still too much chocolate. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. I'm going to cut into the flap a little bit. You want to try and keep it as even as possible all the way around so it doesn't look like you have a lot of chocolate on one side and not a lot on the other. Great, and I like the way that looks. Now, I use glossy cardstock, and you can buy this at a number of retailers. However, it is expensive. It normally runs about $2 to $3 for a 12 by 12 sheet. So I'm going to share with you a secret on how to make your own glossy cardstock. This is a product that's put out by Stampendous. It's called Clear Embossing Ink Boss Gloss, and it has a little pad on the top. It's full of embossing fluid, and all that we're going to do is turn it upside down and apply embossing ink evenly to the whole surface. Now, the product was originally intended to go right on a stamp, but I discovered this technique when I didn't have a glossy cardstock in the exact color that I wanted. We're now going to pour clear embossing powder on top. This is a thicker, more enamel-like powder. It's going to give us a really nice, thick, chocolatey look to it. And then you're just going to tap the excess off, and that's heat embossing. We're going to use a heat gun, which is pretty loud. It looks like this. There's a number of different guns out on the market. So you're going to hear some loud noise for a couple of seconds. So I'm going to stop talking. As you can see, that gives it a wonderful shine. It is going to be quite hot, so we're just going to let it sit and cool down for a minute, and that's going to give us a chance to work on the top of the strawberry. Now, everybody owns different punches. I'm using a 5-petal punch from Stampin' Up! And a hydrangea punch from Martha Stewart. Any number, any shape of punch you have will work. You just want to make sure you have a large one, a medium, and a small one. This is a great way to use up scraps of paper. We're going to punch out 2 of the large ones, and then we need a medium one and a small one. Now, here's another good money saving tip for you. We're going to use Versamark ink today. I own probably upwards of 70 stamp pads, but recently I have just been using the Versamark. We're going to distress each of the petals with the Versamark ink. Because it's a watermarking ink, what it does is it leaves a slightly darker color on the paper that you're working with. So if you're working with red, it would have a slightly darker red shade or slightly darker green shade. This means that you have perfect monochromatic matching with one stamp pad. If you're not looking for a contrasting ink, you can pretty much get rid of all those other stamp pads. So it is definitely a must-have tool to have in your toolbox. I'm then going to use some really small glue dots to just layer the different green flowers on top of each other. And I like to offset them so that it has a nice shape to it. We're just going to center this one in the middle. And then on this big one, you might need to use 2. Okay. All right, and then the last step for this top part is we're gonna fold the petals. We're gonna use our thumb on the top, finger on the bottom, and fold the petals down. And what this is doing is it's gonna create a little bit of a well inside, and we're gonna need that in a minute. You probably hear my kids in the background. We have a couple kids over here today. My best friend Wendy is being my video camera gal, and so our kids are playing, so you might hear them in the background. So let's go back to the base of the box. You're going to take the base, and you can use any type of string. I'm just using black DMC floss. It doesn't matter what color it is because no one's going to see it. You're going to start from the inside, thread the thread up, and then down. If you need to use a needle to keep your thread together, you can. and we're just going to go all around the box. Now this is the point when you're done threading that you would add the chocolate. I'm not adding the chocolate today just to make it a little bit easier for me to show you. So you would just put the Hershey Kisses right inside at this point. Or whatever candy you'd want to put. Let's see if I can get this last one in. Oh, it's going to be a problem for me. Alright, okay. And this is the only tricky part of the whole project. All you're going to do is pull the ends tight so that the box closes naturally on its own. You may have to play with the different pieces to get them to tuck properly. And you're going to have, you know, a little bit of a gap, like right there. There's nothing wrong with that. If you had a large gap and you couldn't get it to cooperate, you could use a glue dot to get that to go down. So then, while you're holding the flaps together, you're just going to tie the box. And you can just use a regular standard knot to tie it. Okay? And then you're going to clip the tails. You could tie them a little bit closer so the hole is smaller if you wanted to. Alright, then we're going to go back to our green top. And what you're going to do is you're going to use your vegan adhesives. I prefer zip dry. And when I'm working on a project like this, I have the bottle upside down in a cup so that it's all flowed to the tip, so I don't have to sit around and wait. It makes it a lot faster. I'm going to put a decent portion of glue. You really do want to put a nice sized dollop in there. And so then you're going to hold it on top, and I will tell you that it does take a minute or two to make the adhesion work, but once it does work, it stays for good. They're going to have to tear these apart to get them to the chocolate. So we're going to pretend like I did that, and then at the very end, once that was dry, you would go ahead and add a bling center. These are from the Dollar Spot at Michael's, really affordable. Okay? So, as I said, one of the ways if you're doing multiples of these, I did about a dozen for each of the heart boxes that were on the blog earlier in the week, is you can store them upside down while they dry in an egg carton or even in one of these glue dot containers. And that lets gravity do some of the work for you.
Mom.
So that's my daughter Bella. So let's finish the bottom of the box. So we're going to go back to the red line tape. And we're going to add it to the flap just like we did before. Bella, could you go close the door for Mom? Thank you. Go close the door. Thank you. So we're going to add the glue. We're going to close the flap so it creates the same type of cone. And we're going to go back to the beacon adhesives. And you're going to want to add adhesive to the sides, as well as adhesive to the bottom of the cone. You really want to get it on there. Again, because the candy has a little bit of weight to it, you want to make sure that it's secure. You're then just going to put it on top of the box. You want to line up your seams, line up your flaps, so it looks like this. Again, remember, I forgot my scallop scissors. You're going to remember your scallop scissors. And then the last step, while this is drying, the last step is to take some three-dimensional paint. And on the three-dimensional paint, this is the best way to do it that I've discovered, is to go ahead and have the strawberry upside down, take the paint and drizzle it on so it looks like that drizzled chocolate in circles. It doesn't have to be perfect. It wouldn't be perfect if you were actually using chocolate, but if you have breaks in the circles, you do want to go back and line those up further. Now this does take about 12 hours for it to dry rock solid, the paint does. So you want to get, 12 of these or 14, however you're making, and let them dry overnight. And when you're all done, they'll look just like this.
Mommy.
So once again, you can see the entire tutorial on the serendipitousscrapper.blogspot.com and the finished project. Thanks so much.